2023. And also, I want to remind everyone that this Zoom is being recorded. So for those who do not want to appear, they can just turn off their video. So I'm going to give the floor to Rokio Omer, who is part of the collective, so she can tell us a little bit about the Belt of Somali Women. Rokio, welcome.
Thank you so much, Diaka. Wonderful to have you as our moderator for today. I will keep it very short because we have a lot of powerful speakers today here with us, and our member of European Parliament, Dr. Periet Hersberger. So I'll keep it very short. The Belt of Somalia is actually a platform, newly founded platform, founded by two organizations that have been involved in the fight against gender-based violence and primarily FGM in Spain and in the Netherlands. From Spain, we have the Save a Girl, Save a Generation in collaboration with Federation of Somali Association Netherlands, who have been very prominent when it comes to stopping and ending FGM in the practicing communities. And what we missed for the past couple of decades in our intervention is a collective joint action from the Somali community itself, especially from the diaspora, when it comes to the ending the practice in Somali regions. As we all know, Somalia is one of the countries that is still high in prevalence, where almost 99% of the Somali girls are still being circumcised. And if we don't end that practice in the regions that is where it's hardly needed, we will not reach our sustainable goal of 2030. So this is a newly platform where we also take the opportunity to send out a call for everyone to join us. You can visit our website, beltofsomaliwomen.com, and become a member. And today is our first event that we have organized since our founding this year. And this is for us to gain more insights about the Somali diaspora movement, but also from the work that these incredible speakers have been doing for the past decades. So I hope all of you enjoyed this online event, and feel free to drop us a message, visit our social medias and our website if you would like more information about the platform. Thank you so much, Diaka.
Thank you so much for that very thorough presentation. And it's important to remind people that the diaspora can play a crucial role in ending FGM, female genital mutilation, in the world, because they can contribute to raising awareness, they can advocate for policy change. So it is very important that they get involved in ending FGM. So I'm going to introduce next our opening speaker, who is none other than Dr. Pierrette Hersberger Fofana. She was elected to the European Parliament on May 2019 as a candidate of the Bundesdiagonen and has since been campaigning for a democratic, humane Europe. She's also the first vice chair of the Committee on Development and the Delegation for Relations with the Pan-African Parliament, as well as the ACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly, where ACP stands for African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries. She's also the co-president of the European Parliament's Anti-Racism and Diversity Intergroup and a member of the delegation to the CARIFORUM EU Parliamentary Committee. She's also a substitute on the Committee on Foreign Affairs and the Committee on Women's Rights and Gender Equality. As a substitute member of the committee, so I think I've done enough introducing. I'm going to give you the floor, Dr. Pierrette. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much. I thank you very much to have the possibility to speak today to you. It's always a pleasure when I see that the community, that the women of the community, the diaspora, are trying to do something, are very, very active, and I thank you for your commitment. So the female genital mutilation and menstruation menstruation and other trivialities, we can say, become dangerously life-defining through pain and fear. And it is our duty to keep searching for new dialogue and new ways to end this traditional custom. There is no joy in my mind when I again and again familiarize myself with the topic of FGM, the abolition of which I have been committed for decades. I may say that we found in Germany, 1998, Forward Germany, and I think we were the second organization with women from the diaspora to try to put an end to the FGM in my member state. And so I am yet very, very happy to welcome you in all this framework. And also I thank you already now for your respective courage. I find this is just not for your courage, for your commitment, and also for your interest, and also for your voice and your attention. We have achieved a lot in the fight against female genital mutilation, and we still have a lot more ahead of us. Today's event is particularly important to me. The processing of traumas already suffered and the unconditional avoidance of new injuries are at the forefront of all our work. Again and again, I try with many, many women in Europe to put myself in the shoes of a single young girl who has to lose a part of herself and will never be allowed to know a part of herself due to a traditionalist-based, blatantly and wrong intervention. And this very attempt to emphasize with pain and shame of a single injured girl set me up again and again to raise my voice for a human rights violation that could hardly be more blatant and at the same time still has so much silence and invisibility. For many years, we were thinking with a lot of women from the diaspora in Germany about strategies that can lift the veil of silence and bring light into the darkness. I have shelves full of books that manage to bring up FGM in the 60s, in the 70s, but did not leverage the issues out of the defense mode of cultural conditioning. In the 18th and 19th, I observed how feminists from different parts of the world initiated important debate in the struggle for interpretive sovereignty and got caught up in them. I noticed that currently more and more courageous women like you are telling their stories. Biography and autobiographies are literally sprouting from the ground, creating an urgency and an unconditional flow of speech. In recent years,
being in Nigeria, looking to build a business while living in Nigeria was a massive disadvantage.
Oh, what happened? Okay.
I think someone forgot to mute the microphone. Please, guys, mute your microphones. Thank you.
Doesn't matter, I can take over. In recent years, I have been able to experience that there is also movement at the political level. I regularly make my voice heard in this regard at the European level. And to give a concrete example of political movement at the European level, in fact, the EU wants to fund organizations that protect physical integrity of women and girls, and therefore, on February 2020, the European Parliament passed a resolution to that effect. The European Commission now has a mandate to end FGM. In order to resolutely stand up to zero tolerance against FGM, the German Federal Ministry for Family Affairs, Seniors and Citizens, Women and Youth, in cooperation with other ministries and organizations, developed a letter of protection against female genital mutilation in 2020. I was very happy to hear that already in Netherlands, as you told me last week, you had the letter of protection, and I find it very, very good. It's not a concurrence and so on. It's good if you have since 2030, and it's also good if we made in Germany 2020, that letter of protection, that an official document of the German government that is intended to raise awareness and be used preventively to mark FGM for what it is, a crime against mostly young girls and women. One point is surprisingly easy, lost in all the debates and emotion on a political, medical, and also philosophical level, because it is a very fragile point of view, the empathic understanding of the individual woman, the individual girl. Showing oneself to be truly empathic is a sensitive area. It therefore means at least partially leaving a factual level of a discourse. Empathy reveals not least one's own vulnerability, one's own fear, and one's own shame. However, I very much believe that it is precisely at this point that there needs to be a readjustment in the fight against FGM of girls and women, which could be helpful for all involved. For instance, the participation of the men in the fight against genital mutilation would give a new breath to this long fight that civil society organizations are waging. For as long as, how I always say, the Prince Charming, the charming prince, the future husband and the partners do not declare loudly and clearly that they are ready to marry uncut women, it will be difficult to win our bet. The eradication of female genital mutilation and the practice of mutilation will continue. Female genital mutilation causes many health problems and hinders the development and the empowerment of women.
Dr. Pierrette, your microphone is muted. We can't hear you.
Since when?
Just the last 30 seconds. You're fine.
Maybe you heard what I said about the charming prince?
Yes, we sure did. We sure did.
The charming prince, the charming partners, how you want to know the, as I said again, as long as they do not declare loudly and clearly that they are ready to marry or to have a relation, yes, with uncut women, it will be difficult to win our bet, the eradication of female genital mutilation, and the practice will, of course, continue. Female genital mutilation causes many health problems and hinders the development and the empowerment of women and girls. This is why the activities of the mediators, the activities of women like you in the field are very indispensable, because they identify the victim of excision. Interdisciplinary work, and perhaps only interdisciplinary work, can really initiate discourse and drive developments. A brochure calls me to take a stand against or for something. A study confronts me with facts and figures that are perhaps frighteningly binding. A vote in a political context or a congress in a professional context always take place in a relatively hermetically sealed rooms. All this is good and important. A novel, however, to take this example, unfold its potential, fulminant power unrequired. A novel does not carry its stamp in the front of it, but packs criticism, explosive power, and above all, the possibility of showing oneself as the reader, called empathetically into its own language and story. And a good piece of literature or a convincing work of art always leave the individual subtlety change. For the fight against FGM, we need science. For the fight against medicine, against FGM, we need science, medicine, psychology. We need politics and its decision makers. We need courageous women like you and the courageous testimonies. We need education, campaignings, and training. And we also need art and literature. The freedom to deal with unreasonableness and directness, with playfulness and ruthlessness is our freedom. Sex and menstruation and going to the toilet can be given space there. Topics can be woven in passant and thus be all the more present. There are still more than 1 million of women a year and worldwide whose integrity is at stake. And so I am very, very happy now to look at what you have to say, to hear what I might also learn. And I want to learn from you so that I shall bring my voice at the European level, and that we one day said, we have now the zero tolerance in Europe, at least we have tried to make it. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pierrette. Thank you for this time. And you said something that is very important. We do need everyone, men and women alike, in order to end FGM in our society. So thank you for your time. And again, congratulations on the amazing work that you are doing. So we are going to keep this panel moving. I'm going to introduce the panelists real quick, and then we'll come back for Mrs. Uba Ali, who is our first, who is going to be the first one to intervene. So Mrs. Uba Ali is a social activist, financial analyst, and feminist from Somaliland, who campaigns against female genital mutilation. In 2020, she was listed by the BBC as one of the world's most influential 100 women for her fight against FGM. And then we'll have Zahara Naeli, who is the co-founder of the Federation of Somali Association in the Netherlands, and also a trailblazer for Somali women in the Netherlands. In 1996, she became the first Somali woman in the Netherlands to publicly denounce female genital mutilation, a practice that she herself underwent as a young girl. Since then, she has dedicated herself to advocating against this harmful practice. Then we have Shamsa Arawilo, who is also a survivor of FGM and multiple forms of honor-based violence. She's a passionate advocate for the rights of women and girls worldwide, and she is dedicated to eradicate FGM from all society, but particularly within the Somali community. And then we have actually someone that I know really well, Ifra Ahmed. Ifra is a Somali activist, writer, and speaker who also has dedicated her life to fighting against female genital mutilation. She was born in Mogadishu, and she also experienced FGM at the age of 8. At the age of 15, she fled to Ireland, seeking asylum and a new life. Since then, she has tirelessly advocated against for international recognition, making her a leading voice in the fight against FGM. She played a pivotal role in the official ban of FGM in Ireland in 2012, and founded the IFRA Foundation in 2010, which has reached over 100,000 people in the Horn of Africa through advocacy programs. And then we'll have a wonderful artist. I mean, she is unbelievable. Her name is Najma Haji. Yes, she is a visual artist who has a decorated background in various artistic medium. She began her artistry journey as a professional in 2019 and quickly made her mark in the art world. In 2018, 2019, she showcased her work in her first art exhibition at Hargeisa Cultural Center. In 2019, 2020, she embarked on a mural art project at Mogadishu UA compound in Mogadishu representing peace. So as you can see, we do have a good mix of speakers. So we are going to get started with Uba. Hi, Uba, how are you?
Hello, hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, and you? So tell us a little bit about Solace for Somaliland Girls. How can Solace for Somaliland Girls Foundation benefit from the global platform Belt of Somali Women to advance your work in Somaliland and beyond?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. Solace for Somaliland Girls, we started in 2018. I'm one of the co-founders, and the reason we started this organization, we felt like we needed like a grassroots movement that could actually teach what FGM to the younger community, to the younger children who are especially in high schools. And because there are a lot of organizations back home, but we felt like the impact that they are doing might not touch the hearts of everyone, especially when it comes to the younger generation. So that's why we started the organization, and we have it's 4 of us. 2 of our co-founders are from Rwanda, and me and another girl from Somaliland. So to start, you could see how this organization is also like an international itself, and it's very diverse in a way that we felt like, you know, our problem or the issues that Somali women face back home could also other women who live in the continent could learn something from, whether they live in Rwanda and beyond. And since 2018, we held a lot of workshops and you know, different activities, and we went to high schools and other schools in Somaliland, and we tried to teach students what FGM is, both boys and girls. And after that, we felt like, you know, a lot of the kids who are in schools, sometimes they don't even know what FGM is, whether they're boys or girls. And when we continue doing these workshops, we felt like it literally made a huge impact, because we got a lot of feedback from the students and asking us to do more of these workshops so they could feel confident and comfortable to actually know why FGM is done and why the root causes of this issue. And not only that, but also because of COVID, we also held a lot of social media campaigns and online meetings where we invited public figures, whether religious figures or doctors or women activists or other people from the community, in order to make sure that people who are also on social media could learn more about FGM from the religious perspective, but also from the medical perspective as well. So that's what we have been doing basically for the past three years. And still we have a long way to go, but we felt like, you know, that kind of grassroots movement could at least save the next generation of our community. So how could our organization benefit from you know, initiatives like Belt for Somali Women and beyond? So there are like different things that, you know, we can benefit and we can collaborate when it comes to like ways that we can help, and also come up with ways that we can eradicate FGM, because it's not an individual issue, it's a communal issue. And to begin with, I think online social media platforms could be a ways that we can do more activism, and also come up with ways that we can unify our initiatives and combat this issue. And the second thing is and academia research. I feel like there are so many organizations or other initiatives that, you know, are trying to do something about this issue, but the fact that we don't have a collective research platform or academia platform or information research that often hinders us to come up with ways that we can unify our collective effort, because each one of us are doing their own individual, way of doing things. So if we have like social research or academic research center that, where we can conduct our information sharing, space, I think that could help us, organizations like us or other organizations to actually learn something from us, but also we can learn something from them. And I think we needed that space. Another thing is maybe like also having a website where we can encourage survivors of FGM to share their journey, where they are not being charged, but also strong women or other, members of the community, whether even it's men, where they could come up and like read more about this issue, but also encourage and see how other women feel about this FGM. So that's what we feel like, having that kind of lifestyle where, we can share our information online, but also encourage survivors of FGM to share from their own story, from their own view, could also help us to understand why FGM, why it happens, and how individuals feel from them telling their own story. So I think organizations like Belt of Somali Women and other organizations, we can leverage what we have by sharing the information that we have, the knowledge that we gain while we're doing this activism, and come up with ways that we can collectivify our efforts and make a huge impact. Because FGM has been happening for so long, but because I think we need an immediate action, we need strong voices to come and unify their efforts. And when we do that, I think we will demand justice, and also we will have a lot of men allies who could also join our initiatives and say, okay, enough is enough. We can actually protest and do something about this, because if it's women's issue, it's also a human rights issue. And if we stay quiet and do our own thing, each one of us, we will not make a huge impact.
Thank you so much for that beautiful intervention. And you actually touched on the second question. You already answered it when you speaking about unifying all the grassroots movement in order to really be a force to be reckoned with in the fight against FGM. So thank you very much, Uba Ali. Next, we are going back to Zahara Naeli. Welcome, Zahara. And I also want to remind people that in 2021, she was appointed officer in the Order of Orange Nassau, which is a prestigious Dutch honor for her work against FGM. So Zahara, welcome. So I'm gonna get to it. In the Netherlands, what has been the impact of the Somali community in changing the mindsets and attitudes around FGM and its harmful practices?
Thank you, Diaga. Before I answer your question, I would like to define a little bit short introduction about the FSAN. FSAN is a federation of the Somali Association in the Netherlands. It's a non-profit organization founded in 1994 in the Netherlands, and it is an umbrella organization to which more than 50 Somali organizations are affiliated. The purpose is to support and advise the local organization and the regional organizations, as well as Dutch institutions that work closely with the refugees and migrant organization. So FSAN, what does FSAN in the field of the FGM? FSAN is a national trainer and supervisor of FGM key figures and change makers from the different countries, mainly from Africa. The key persons carry out several awareness campaigns within their own community. Besides that, FSAN develops information materials in various languages. We are participating in the training for the professionals and the other, protocols for the professionals. And we are member of Inter-African Committee and also one of the founder in the FGM European Network. Coming back, your question is about the impact of the Somali community in changing the mindset and attitudes around FGM. The most of the Somali refugees in the Netherlands came in 90s. Some parents, particularly mothers, at that time, the first question they asked, where can we find, or is there anyone who can circumcise our daughters? There was also a research done at that time, and then all these things, about the circumcision of the girls. As response to this, in 1993, the Dutch government likely prohibited all forms of FGM in the Netherlands. Almost now it's 30 years ago. To inform the Somali community the new law against FGM and to break down the taboo around the FGM, in 1996-97, FSAN, launched an information campaign against FGM targeting the Somali community. The name of the campaign was Save Your Daughter the Pain of FGM. Further, FSAN policy towards FGM abandonment was intensified in terms of a prevention, law enforcement, and the campaigning to provide care to the women living with FGM, and started awareness campaign in many cities in the Netherlands, which mainly concentrated Somalis and other community from Africa. In relation to this campaign, FSAN coordinated, guided, and support community-based organizations from different countries, training key figures and professionals, and help desk was established to advise the key figures, change makers, and the other stakeholders who are interested in FGM eradication and connecting awareness information to newly arrived refugees, particularly in refugee camps. I think everybody knows to bring about, behavior change or the mindset, it takes time. But this campaign that we have done at that time was an eye-opener for many parents. Most of them thought that the circumcision of girls should do as a religious obligation at that time. Besides that, the impact of this campaign, FGM became a discussable subject among the Somali communities, and many people realized that FGM is a cultural than the religion. That is, I think, the first question that I have to answer in this. If you go to the second question, then I can continue, if you allow me.
Okay, thank you so much, Zahara. And I also want to remind our panelists and our speaker to try to keep it, I will say brief or short. I'm sorry. I mean, this topic, we can talk about it all day. It will never end. But since we have so much ground that we try to cover, so I just want to throw that out there. So when we talk about challenges in the Netherlands and even other European countries, when it comes to the sustainability of the support given to the community-led organization and movement, what are some of those challenges, Zahara?
This is a very good question. And, the community-led organizations, we have to keep in mind, are mostly work in a voluntarily with a short-term project. That is our main challenge. They don't have structural financial support. Most of them, they have no places or the officer to connect their activities. The efforts of the key figures, facilitators, and other change makers for the community are not yet fully recognized. Unfortunately, the continuation of the uncertainty for the continuation of the FGM project and the other harmful practice. Besides that we have to keep in mind at this time that many people who are still eager to circumcise their daughters in the name of religion, of tradition, or honor, particularly the newcomers. There are also some religious people who are promoting about the FGM nowadays through the social media. In the Netherlands or many European countries likely have a law against FGM, all types of FGM. But for my experience, but only law does not work out without coupling awareness-raising programs for the communities and the training from the professionals and the other stakeholders. So about the challenges, mainly, I repeat it, it is the financial support of the community-led organizations about this subject. Yeah.
Thank you so much, because yes, a lot of grassroots have a lot of difficulty to have access to the funding in order to lead this fight properly. So one last question, Zahara. How do you think that a diaspora-led movement, do you feel that the diaspora-led movement has supported those in the Somali region to move away from the practice?
Yes, I do. The idea Belt of the Somali Women, let me say, initiated by two young women. I have to name them, Hayat and Ruqya, from EFSAN and Safe Children. But since it is new, we have still to do more consultations to others who are interested to be part of this movement. But our main goal, I repeat it, to end the FGM and the other harmful practice among Somali community. We are the highest level, I think, number one from as Ruqya, she said, you know, and I remember also Guinea, we are the second group in Guinea, in Africa. I think we have that one through cooperation and unifying our efforts and building a bridge in diaspora and Somali regions that I hope to do soon, inshallah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and really good luck in all of your endeavors. Our next speaker, I introduced earlier, Shamsa, who is a public speaker, an educator, and a campaigner. And as such, I think she can understand the importance of unifying and centering the voices of the survivors of FGM and gender-based violence. Shamsia, can you expand on this a little bit, how important and essential that is to eradicating FGM and GVB from our societies?
To be honest, I think survivors' voices, survivors of any form of honor-based violence, including FGM, even gender-based violence, it is very, very important to hear their insights, their views, their opinions. I always say that no two people are the same. They might have experienced the same trauma, but their reactions might have been completely different. Their actual experiences might have been different. The way that they feel might have been different. So listening to survivors should be the main, is one of the biggest and most important factors when trying to end any form of honor or gender-based violence, because one, it happened to them. I know that there's not a lot of women that are open to talking about it, but I think it is really important that once they are at a position where they are able to, not to shut them down and allow them to speak and express themselves. I also believe that it is part of their healing journey as well. But survivors' voices is very, very important. It is essential to understanding what the crimes are, how it affects people in different ways. I think, for example, when I was really, really struggling and I was in a really, really bad place in terms of all the different forms of trauma that I experienced, FGM, forced marriage, marital rape, domestic violence, you know, you become very, very almost negative. And you need to be able to find someone that you can relate to. So the more voices we have, the more people we have representing their communities, the more encouraged those women from those communities are, you know, to sharing their stories and opening up, which then creates a domino effect, you know, and the message goes from one community to another, and there's, you know, communities are able to find common grounds. You know, they're able to strategize in ways that they can bring an end, collectively bring an end to female genital mutilation. But another thing that's really important is the younger generation. I know young girls who in the UK, 137 women, 137,000 women have been affected by FGM. 50 to 60,000 girls are still at risk. There are girls as young as 14, 12, 16, 18. The number just goes on. And all of these young girls don't know how to deal with their insecurities. They don't know how to deal with their mental health problems. They don't know how to deal with, you know, what they see on TikTok, what they see on social media, you know, what their friends are like. And it's a constant trying to find a place to fit in. And we as Somali community need to give those young people a place where they can fit in. Like I said, I was in a really bad place and I needed someone to represent me. I wanted someone who I could relate to. I realized that I couldn't really relate to the older generation because there were so many differences. Yes, we had the same procedure, but there are so many differences, like their attitude towards it might be completely different to a younger girl that went through it. So I wanted to become that voice, that young person, I'm 30 years old, but lucky for me, I don't look it. So, but they are able to relate, you know, and I do it in a way that doesn't, you know, trigger them and makes them, you know, more confident to speak, even if it's just to me. So I think it's really important to, you know, put a speaker on survivors' stories and allow them to tell you how they need help. I can't hear you.
Hello? Okay, sorry. I was
Okay.
muted. I was saying I completely agree with you. The voices of survivors are important because they bring attention to the human rights violations that are FGM. They can provide firsthand accounts of pain, trauma, and long-term health complication. And also they can challenge the cultural norms and belief that
100%.
perpetuate FGM. So yeah, challenging cultural norm and beliefs and advocacy, it's a very good way for us to be able to fight against FGM. So
100%.
you mentioned it earlier. You were talking about generational, you know, point of view, which is my next question to you, is that because even here, when I do work against FGM, the comments that I would get, well, your grandmother went through it, your mother went through it, and yet they're here. So
They're
what is
fine.
there to complain about? Like your ancestors went through it, they're fine. So how do you think intergenerational work is important to effectively tackle FGM and gender-based violence within the Somali community? I know this is what we're talking about today, but we actually have the same problems across communities around the world. Yeah. That is the truth, you know, when it comes to FGM and gender-based violence. So what's your thought? What's your take on that?
I think it is really, really important because these are completely different generations. So their work ethic and their attitudes, their overall way of living is completely...
Guys, please mute your microphones. Thank you very much. I'm sorry about that, Shamsa. Go ahead.
Don't worry. So because there are so many differences in generation in the two generations, I think intergenerational interaction is very, very important because one, it challenges the assumptions. So for example, with FGM, I was told that it was a transition to becoming a woman. Is a you know, a rite of passage, or it's an Islamic thing, you know, and we need to challenge those social norms because that is all incorrect, or the fact that there's a medical reason for it. So it's breaking down those pre-existing assumptions of what FGM is and explaining to the younger generation that, you know, you might hear this and you might hear this, but this is not right. Also, I believe it helps build confidence. It helps the younger generation build confidence in how to better communicate with the older generation when it comes to saying no. Because often in the backgrounds that we come from, it's very hard to go against the wishes of your parents, your guardian. You are told to respect them regardless of what. A parent can do no wrong. But, you know, helping the older generation understand that, you know, the younger generation is completely different. And the environment is different, you know, the way that they live, social media, the influences, even the heroes that they have now is completely different to, you know, the heroes that the older generation had. And also helps tackle prejudice. There's some words that I can't say, so I apologize. But it also helps break that down, so that we are not constantly misunderstanding each other. We're not constantly going in a limbo, you know. One way we could do this, I think, is having different organizations and survivors, activists, to take part in things that will make both the younger generation and the older generation something that they could find a common ground. For example, plays. I know that the Somali community would love a play, and the younger generation would love to take part in acting or anywhere where there's a performance, because they're a lot more confident. And that helps build relationships. It helps bring communities together. What else? The social acceptance as well within the Somali community is, especially when it comes to FGM, living in Somalia, for example, everyone around you thinks that it is okay. Why? Because there is no one telling you otherwise. Not the older generation, not the younger generation. In some places, especially in little villages, like where I grew up, we were so isolated from the main cities, where, you know, there are different organizations where there's limited resources in these small villages. So bringing the education to the rural areas will help expand our message in tackling female genital mutilation, but also educating both generations about, you know, how they can have a better quality of life together, so that we can collectively end FGM, because believe you me, we will not be able to do it alone as women.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And education is key. They say no, knowledge is power. So yes, it's important to educate, and also I think breaking the cycle of silence. You know, because women, we are the survivors of FGM. So I think if we speak louder and let the world know how harmful these practices are, we'll be able to upset the balance. Just one quick question for you again before I let you go. For someone working in a reproductive health, sexual and reproductive health center, for instance, what are there like red flag, you know, to be able to identify like girls that either are going through it or have gone through it? Are there any red flags you think, or what are we supposed to look for? What are the signs?
I think there's quite a lot, but when it comes to the Somali community or similar communities like yours, you would find that women have adapted to their abuse or the trauma that they went through. So yes, it is affecting them, but we are high functioning individuals. So for example, with FGM, I still acted as if I was completely okay on the outside, but on the inside, it was completely different. So for me, it showed in the way that I behaved when I was younger. So I was labeled as troubled, as someone who was not well behaved, because I didn't necessarily agree with some of the things that were being told to me. Oh, I lost my train of thought.
It's okay. I mean, yeah. So we should be vigilant. I think the girls would be withdrawn.
No. I think some of the early signs is with your problems with urination, for example. I would take hours in the toilet. That's how long I would take in that, because it was very slow. So if they're spending a lot of time in the toilet, if they have suddenly become more withdrawn than before, if their behaviors changed dramatically, their attitudes, if they're more secretive and don't want to share any information, that's a massive indication when they don't want to share information, and they steer the conversation elsewhere. What else? I think it shows in their body language as well. You know, when you're nervous, it shows if you're worried about an examination, if you turn down examinations. There's a lot of signs, but it depends on the individual, because some can hide it better than others.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that intervention. And so everyone, just be on the lookout. You know, it can be,
yes,
it can be seen, you know, as plain as day, but it also can be very well hidden, because, you know, as women, we are so good at hiding our problems and our suffering. So and we need to stop that.
That's what I mean when I say it's not always easy to spot.
Absolutely. So our next speaker is Ifra. Like I said, Ifra is a very good friend of mine. So I'm not going to list all of her awards because we'll not get this done. But I do encourage you guys to, for those who have not seen her movie, A Girl from Mogadishu, it is an amazing, amazing story. And I invite all of you guys to go ahead and check out the movie. So Ifra, my question for you is that we all know FGM remains a prevalent issue in many Somali communities worldwide, throughout the world actually. What is the current situation in the fight against harmful practices in Somalia? Are there any effective legislation and policies against FGM? If they are, have they been effective? Because I know you've worked tirelessly in order to pass legislation in Somalia against FGM. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Hey, thanks, Sarah. And thanks all that you speak. It's really amazing. This kind of platform, it helps basically. I'm sorry, first of all, I didn't turn on my camera because it's Friday and we were at home and doing nothing. So, good question. Somalia is basically says 98% FGM is practiced. And also, as you said, we've been campaigning FGM for a long time in Somalia, especially fighting for and advocating for the legislation in Somalia. Previous government, before those government, what happened was that there was a petition about demanding Somali government to pass FGM bill, which signed over 1 million people around the world. Somali government have promised that they're going to pass the bill, and the government have finished their mandate. And then there was a new government. The new government, when they came, there was a lot of political crisis, including all gender-based violence policies. For example, there was a sexual offense bill in the parliament, which has been not passed because they politicalized and they made it kind of, Western mandate, and they say that Somalia, they want to allow gay and lesbian and a lot of different things. So last 5 years, it was very difficult again to bring up the FGM bill, but we did the awareness with the community. We set up a Dear Daughter campaign, where now we have the Dear Daughter website, over 60,000 villages where families, mothers or daughters, or anybody who voluntarily they go themselves on the website and they make the pledge. So if they own will that they want to make a difference and they make the pledge. And now basically Dear Daughter is working really well in Somalia. I can say that I'm very proud that last 12 months, which now.
Hello, Ifra. We are having a problem with your microphone. If you can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes,
I don't know what happened.
We missed the last part of your conversation.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm in Somalia, so it can be the network. No, I say that I can say that I'm very proud. Last 12 months, there was a 0 death on FGM, where before that we would have young girls who have cut to death for bleeding. So, but again, I would say that the FGM practice have increased in a medicalization, which means that, as you know, Somali is a 98% FGM's practice. And then here we've been fighting to end FGM and saying 0 tolerance. But the issue was that they stopped and they shifted on the cutting at home to a medicalization, which means that the cut went really higher because every family, they bring the child in hospital and they ask the doctors to perform the cutting. And they say that this is a professional way. So the FGM has increased, but the death of the youngest on bleeding have reduced. About the bill, still we on a fight. And now, you know, we have a really great Minister of Gender who is really powerful, who we believe that she can do something, because we hoping that by end of this year, the FGM bill to be brought it way forward. And I believe that if Somali government, if they pass the sexual offensive bill, I am 100% to have a hope that the FGM bill will pass. So at the moment we add on a campaign where we have Dear Daughter on FGM, ending FGM to for 0 tolerance. We work with UNFPA and we partner with them, and also the Somali government. We work with the Ministry of Gender in terms of raising awareness through gender-based violence. So the bill is there. It has not been passed. I'm very disappointed. It's been over 7-8 years since we started the fight to the bill on FGM in Somalia. As you know, country where the 100% is Islam, the difficult of, you know, bringing any bills way forward. And now what we need is the religious leaders to come way forward and also saying that 0 tolerance on FGM. But of course, the bill still is there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. But, you know, just like sometimes even passing the bill doesn't mean that it's going to be enforced. In Guinea, there's a law against FGM, but guess what? 99.9% of women in Guinea are survivors of FGM, despite the law that completely forbids it. So there's a lot of work to be done on that end, but congratulations for everything that you are doing. For the next question from me, I mean, you grew up in a small Somali community. No, you grew up in Somalia. Then you have moved since in Ireland, and there's a Somali community, and now you've decided to move back to Somalia. So what do you think has been the impact or the positive influence that you have experienced, or even the obstacles that now you are facing, because now you are a diaspora, you know, and a diaspora fighting against FGM. It's like the same thing here. They tell me, oh yeah, you're an American, you grew up in the US, that's why you are talking about FGM in this way, you know. So what are the obstacles that you have had to deal with since coming back home and continuing that work?
Well, as you said, you heard this word, your diaspora go back to your country. You know, I'm always saying that I'm Irish. I'm very proud. So that being a diaspora and being Irish really makes completely different, because our society, like where you are told that you're brainwashed by Western ideology, and you come back here and now you are talking this way about FGM. But one good thing is that basically, the difference of being in Europe and dressing different way of than dressing in Africa. So, I readopted my own, culture, and because people used to look at me different. But now I would say I'm in Somalia since 2014, where I was backward and forward, coming to Somalia and going back to Europe. And, readopting my own culture again, it makes different for me, because now where I have a well-respected religious leaders accepting me as the campaigners, and then some of the women's groups, where before when I sit with them and they say, oh, okay, you're not even one of us, why are you telling us this? Where now they basically, I'm role model for young people in Somalia, which makes difference for me. So I think the impact for me is that young people getting involved, because now, United Nations say that boys are the part of the, the solution. And for us working with young men and male and boys makes different, because, they're going back their own community in universities at this, the center places, or, even on Facebook talking about FGM completely is a different shift. Where when I think of 2014, when I first went to Somalia and I was asked to do interview on one of the local TVs, and one day journalist asked me, what are you talking about? And I say, I'm talking about female genital mutilation. He didn't sit, and he said, look, this is a female thing, and I'm not going to talk about women clitoral. And he just went off, and then he brought it a female journalist, where now that is shifted. And if I wanted to talk about FGM, men and women, anyone who is a journalist, they can talk and speak. Religious leaders, some are good, they're talking about really good sense of FGM has no place in Islam. Then there is other religious guy who would say that should be practiced. And when you look at all the religious leaders themselves and you ask question if they cut their own daughters, the answer is no. So it's really hard, but I'm happy and I'm glad that, I was readopted my own people, and the campaign is really good. And I hope that one day the bill will be passed. But as you know, the legislation on FGM is always celebration. Ireland, the bill was passed, and there was a problem. Family who have practiced on FGM within Ireland, but they're being prosecuted. So in Somalia, where 98% FGM is practiced, whether you have a bill or not, still people will practice. So you have to change the mindset of the community to raise awareness, and going to the community to speak to them, even talk about the law enforcement is in place, and then all that. So I think we active and we are doing, and I'm happy that I'm back here in Somalia and we are doing the community work, and I'm so grateful that
Absolutely.
my campaign.
Absolutely. And speaking of the bill, we have a comment, somebody that is saying, there's a vast ocean between even passing the bill and then in the bill into practical action. And I think one way, that's what the person commented in the chat, that we need more women in position of power to make the policies concerning women. So that is a very, very, very good point. For the rest of everybody else, you guys, if you have questions, don't worry, we'll give you the floor once we've done the roundtable with all of our panelists. Ifra, thank you so much, and you are doing an amazing job, just like everybody else. Keep it up. We'll get there sooner or later. We'll get there one way or another. So now my next speaker is an artist, like I said.
Sorry, I interrupt you, but I just want to say thank you that I see a lot of familiar faces on the participation. So I say hello to everyone, and thank you.
All right, thank you. So now we are going to pass the mic to Najma Haji. She's an artist, like I told you guys earlier, and she's going to explain to us how art and activism are related. As you know, art is also a form of storytelling, and as a communication and a PR a practitioner, I truly believe that the way to change people's mindset and bad habits is through story. So it can be visually through by doing beautiful pieces of art, or by video, or any form of artistic way is really, really, really a necessary way to change people's mentality and mindset. So Najma, you have the floor.
Hello guys, how are you doing? And so glad to be part of this program. It's really, I was in a rush because some people were visiting my studio, so I had to be there and talk about my art, you know. So I really use my art for social influencing and social teaching and social illustrations that related to, like, you know, most of Somali people, they usually don't speak or I mean, they don't read or write. There's a lot of there's this big society that doesn't read or write, so images really help to send a message to those people who cannot read or write. So you use art so that we can reach as far as we can reach to share a message to those people. So there's many occasions that I have done a work related to peace, related to education, related to FGM, and related to many topics. So I want to share my screen so that guys could see the image I have done and the categories of the image that I have done before. So let me start sharing my screen. I hope you guys can see. So this is, I hope you can see my screen. So these are some of the images I've done, and mostly it's related to social change. You know, our society, we have a lot of issues related to FGM, related to war, and related to immigration and stuff, female genital mutilation, or gender-based violence that happens a lot in back home. So this is an image that I made for empowering our women. You know that these belts that they're wearing and related to shows that the power that our Somali women has, and mostly they put on belt when they are doing a lot of hard work, you know, like especially our mothers, like when they're carrying a baby, they put a belt so that they work hard and become strong. So it shows like a strong sign of a powerful Somali woman. So that's the image I made about a woman with belts. And these are some of the images I made for social teaching related to when we want to teach our society different things, like awareness, spreading awareness. You can see these 4 images. One of them is people who are aligned to maybe register or bring their kids to health facility. You can see men and women all are here gathered, and you can see that it just showcasing this picture shows that we can translate what we want to say in words into images, so that almost all people can understand what it means, the message through image. Image is really powerful. And you can see this image, I'm showing a woman who's having a birth, but gone through a lot of problems because of FGM. And these mothers are like shocked. Every one of them are shocked, and they don't know what happened. And she had a lot of struggle having a baby. And this other image is just an image I was showing to vote, and women can be part of the decision makers in the parliament. and also decision makers back in the society. And so that's part of the image I made before. This image also show the war and immigration and problems that it brings to the community. You can see there's a war, there's a fighting, like there's a protesting and stuff. And after that, this is the effect that it leaves. You see people running away from their homes with their kids and carrying whatever they can carry, and then live in a far away, in stressful situations. So these are some of the images I was talking about, the importance of peace. And this other image is like spreading awareness to the community through, like when we are doing campaigning, awareness, all of those things. Here is like a panel discussion and talking about through the message that they once sent. And this sending the message through the radio, that some communities cannot have a TV or anything, so that they need to listen through the radio, is one way to transmit the message that you are sending. This is another message. You can see these two Somali guys having a cup of tea, because you know Somali men, they love tea a lot. With the radio, they're listening the news and what they wanted. This is visiting homes so that they can send the message through visit and stuff. So this image is related to campaigning and like how we can send message through image. And that's the end of what I wanted to talk about. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Such a beautiful art. And it shows that, you know, art can be used to communicate ideas, challenge societal norms, and provoke thought, and also highlight social injustice and draw attention to political issues. And I'm so inspired by your art. I mean, and that's what art does. It can inspire people to take action, raise awareness of important issues, and create a sense of solidarity among those who share a common cause. So congratulations. Well done. All right, guys, that is it for our panelists. So for those who have questions, please raise your hand and we'll give you the floor. But please, again, keep it short, because we try to get through as much as possible. Okay, so I'm going to start with Alimatu Dimonekene. Excuse me if I don't pronounce your name right. I apologize in advance. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Diaka. You are also doing a fantastic job. And yes, I think I'm going to second what Ifra has already said, seeing so many amazing activists. And I've just come back from New York and we're all buzzing. But this is why I love what I do. And as an activist and a survivor of FGM, the incredible work of the diaspora, which our colleagues have highlighted here, is so important. But I think I'm not sure how to pronounce, is it Nazma or Nash? The last presenter. And thank you also to Ifra for a fantastic job she's doing in Somalia. But we're here to learn. Najma, because I love art. I love art and the innovation of art in bringing our stories to life. And I just would like to know, because I'm from Sierra Leone, and of course I'm based in the UK, how can we interlink or maybe connect our work? We'd really love to use some of the pictures she has shown, because we obviously have similar stories to rural lives, because we're working with communities in rural areas. And yes, just as she said, a lot of the time, many of our community want to hear from us. They are now really sick and tired of seeing our stories being told by other people. For me, we're telling our stories in our local language. I'm from the north, so we speak Timni. So I really would love some of her work, because we have similar stories to what she's highlighted. And I don't know if she's able to share how that has come about, just to inspire us in our work. Thank you.
Great. This is like solidarity right here. So Najma. Is she connected?
Hello?
Hello.
Sorry,
Yes.
guys, the internet is really horrible. I was running from place to place. Sorry.
Okay. Did you get Alimatu's question?
No, I'm so sorry. I was running back here. Can I have again?
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you so much, Najma. I was just saying I appreciate your work and I love the simplicity of the storyline. And I just was wondering, because I'm also from Sierra Leone in West Africa, we have similar storylines, and often our communities and our families really want stories to be told in our language, in our community, narrative. So I want to know, do you work with other artists from other countries in Africa? Because we really would like to see how we could use some of your work in our stories, because it can simply be adapted. And it's
thank you so much. I worked with Kenyan other artists, and they're in Nairobi because I was in Nairobi for some trainings. So yeah, the only African artists that I have connection with is the ones in Nairobi in Kenya.
Thank you so
But
much.
her question is there any way that you guys can work, like you can link up with people from Sierra Leone, or can they use the drawing you already have?
Yeah, I understand. Okay, now I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. If I get to connect with other artists in Sierra Leone, in other parts of Africa, that's really amazing idea. And in any case, if you want to use my work, or if you want me to create new works for your related to the culture, the things that are in Sierra Leone, I would really love and appreciate to work with you guys, and that will be an honor for me.
Thank you so much. Like Mustafa is saying in the comments, this also, we are creating common ground for both older and younger generation through art, music, and plays to really educate and raise awareness. This is amazing. Yes, let's keep the solidarity going. All right, I'm gonna pass the mic to Dr. Pierrette. She has a question. Go ahead, ma'am. Dr. Pierre, do you have a question for us? Your hand is raised.
So thank you very much. So since I have to leave now because I have another appointment, I want to thank you, all of you, for your work, and I appreciate all I've learned. I learned a lot today, and I was a little bit sad to hear that the FGM in Somalia is so high until now. This is for me, is a big problem. And I hope we are staying in touch. Yes? And maybe, I don't know if it will be possible to read the questions, because it was a lot of question and answer, and I couldn't take it always, couldn't write down what you said. And I think it will be, also for me, a good thing so I could have those questions, because I want to share your experience. And I want also next time in the European Parliament speak about your work as a community, the most affected community in Europe. And I say thank you very much. It was very, very good to be here. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Dr. Pierre. We know you are very, very busy, so thank you for taking the time and again showing up for women everywhere. I mean, we're talking about Somali women today, but there are women from all over the world connecting on this Zoom. So thank you so much. And I just want to. You're welcome. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I also want to read a comment from Hope Nakwesi, who says art media are very important, exposing, educating, and eliminating all forms of gender-based violence. And absolutely, because through art and storytelling, we control the narrative. So we tell the stories that matters to us. So now I'm gonna hand the microphone over to Robert Casenini. Again, please, I do apologize in advance for blundering the names.
No, it's very much okay. You tried your best there. Just to confirm, you can hear me. Thank you. No,
yes, we can. Go ahead.
Yes, it's really a pleasure to have been part of the event and to listen through the reflections from the Belt of Somali Women. My name is Robert Kasenene. I work with the African Union Commission, where I support its work on eliminating female genital mutilation through the Salima initiative on eliminating female genital mutilation. And so, yes, it was really, really a pleasure to listen through. And I just wanted to take a moment to echo a voice of validation, of support to the group and to this effort of the diaspora, and really a clear demonstration of what role the diaspora can do to eliminate this practice. And I just wanted to be able to join and echo your positive messages. I have seen a lot of familiar faces, a lot of familiar names in the work, both internationally and on the continent. And really to welcome you to join as well the work of the African Union Commission in increasing coordination on the continent, elevating the message on the continent that there is more, that not just the diaspora, but our communities where these practices are most prevalent, our countries, through our leaders, through the allocation of resources, through making sure that there are services on the ground. We all have a voice, and it is when we are consistent, like some of the messages we heard from some of your speakers, that we begin to see some results on the ground. So really, congratulations to you all. And then finally, we are currently in the process of organizing the second international conference on female genital mutilation. The first one was done in 2018 for those who were able to join us in Burkina Faso. The second one will be this year, and a date will be communicated quite soon so that we can really attract all of the community here and across the world to join us. So looking forward to also hear your experiences in person when that platform comes to bear. Thank you so much, Diaka, and all the best.
Thank you so much. I know we have a lot of he for she's in this Zoom, and again, it comes back to reminding everyone that this is a human's right, violation. It's human's right. So we need everyone to work together in tandem in order to eradicate FGM from our society. So who else has another question? Robert, your hand is still up. Do you want to ask a question, or you forgot to bring your hand
My apologies. Down? Let me address it.
Thank you. So anybody else with the questions? All right, we have Tox Okeni. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Great to see everyone here. I just wanted to, it's not a question, it's more of a comment. I just wanted to say that it's important to have voices of men as well, because as we all know, in all our communities here, when I say here, I mean the UK, and in all our countries in Africa, women tend to have discretionary authority and men have direct authority. But actually, we wear the trousers, I think. But anyway, we won't go there. So I think it's important to understand that we need to work collaboratively a lot more with men. And it's great to see some men here today. But I think this is just for the men who are here today. Please make sure you tell other men to come on board, because it's important that we have this joint, conversations to ensure that this practice is, eliminated. I mean, if you want to know a bit more about working with men, I can see my big, wonderful auntie here, Zara. And we did a project together some years back talking about men's, approach to FGM in 3 countries.
Speak out, yeah.
And it's called Men Speak Out in Europe, yes. Please, it'd be good if you can have a view of maybe a summary of that research. It was a research project. But essentially, the most important thing I'll say here today is it's not only a woman's issue. I think primarily it's a man's issue too, FGM in particular. A lot of times it's done in the name of men. And if men want to say, it's not us, they have to come on board and make their voices heard. And not just their voices, put their money, their time, their purpose where it matters most. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm always excited when I see organization led by men, like men and FGM, you know, really working to help eradicate. Again, it's a problem. It's everyone's problem. So does anybody else has a question or comments? And in the chat, I'm so happy and so excited to see all the networking, all the solidarity that is going on. Truly, this is amazing. This is what we're hoping to achieve, you know, to create, because again, together we stand stronger than separate. So anybody else has any more questions before we go to the closing? Speaker going once, going twice.
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead, Mama Silla, go ahead.
Good morning, good afternoon, sister. How are you? Nice meeting you. I'm in the road. That's why I didn't put my camera, because someone just sent me the link and said to connect. So I'm glad to see. Yes, I'm glad to see that there's been work being in Guinea.
Yes.
Yeah, and I can see like what you do now as well. May I just ask, what is the contribution of the diaspora in terms of FGM in Guinea? What do they do, and like how do you link with them, please?
There's a lot of organizations that are led by the diaspora in Guinea. A lot of the grassroots organization are actually led by the diaspora. People such as me, like I'm the president of the Foundation Diaka Camara. We launched a campaign called Break the Silence, which in French is Brisons le silence, because we wanted to amplify the voices of gender-based violence survivors. And for that campaign, we actually connected with over 100 organizations that are led by women, some from the diaspora and some also locally, but it was amazing. That's how the campaign was such a successful one, because everyone got together and we spoke with one voice. So a lot of the women from the diaspora are actually very involved in everything that is gender equality, women's right. You know, you see them doing stuff like putting girls through school, because again, in order to promote gender equality and fight FGM and gender-based violence, girls have to be educated. And we know in our societies, the little boys are the ones that are mostly favored when it comes to schools. So you have the diaspora that get together to pay scholarship, you know, create scholarship funding so that girls can go to school, also to help also survivors of FGM, because the practice is forbidden by the law, but they hide. They come and kidnap the little girls, basically the grandmothers and the aunts, and then take them into the countryside and, you know, and mutilate them. And there are some girls that do die of it. Others have so many problems. So the diaspora do contribute to help them, you know, have access to the hospitals and also to mental health, because that's another thing that we don't take into consideration, the mental care, you know, that survivors have. So we have a very active diaspora in the fight against FGM. I hope that answers.
Yeah, I'm from Guinea anyway. I'm one of the survivors. So really, I was there last year. Have you got any link in like somewhere in France with any organization based in France or the UK? Because the reason I'm asking, I can see a lot of like being done in terms of like social media wise, but when you go to the ground, it's a bit difficult because some parents and families, they're still cutting the girls. So I just want to ask, for example, you based in Guinea, how do you like break that, how do you break that? Going to parents, like talking to them, saying, for example, okay, this is not really good for your younger girls. How do you stop them doing it? What are the difficulties that you encounter? Because I know it's not easy, like place to really get into.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy, but again, I have a media agency, so I use storytelling. I go to these communities and I take people from the communities as my envoy, because, you know, it's easy when I come looking like this. Oh, yes, Diaka Camara. Oh, yeah, she's American and all of that, and tell people, oh, stop cutting. I sound very condescending. I sound it's not well received. So what do I do? And again, you have to remember the population in Guinea, 75% of the population is illiterate. So you have to communicate in language that they will understand. So I'll go to the communities, I'll go look for the leaders of those communities. It can be the youth leaders, the imams, the religious leaders, anybody that is respected from those communities. And then they're my ambassadors, you know. I have a working session with them. We explain the practices. It's not good. It's forbidden by the law and all of that. And then we go and do, if you want, round tables in those communities. And really, it's a conversation. You have to listen to them and understand where they're coming from and listen to their explanation, and then try to, you know, change the way they see things by telling them, truly, this is what it does to us as women. And also, we also go into schools, because you know what? The best ambassadors in the communities and the families are the children. I mean, so we go to schools, we try to educate the children, because when you go to a school, you ask a young boy, you know, it's wrong to cut girls, and he tells you, well, but that's something that's been done, my grandmother, my mom, and they seem fine. And then you have people, survivors with you, that explain to them, no, here are the consequences, here's this. And then you create this whole conversation. And then you have girls in the classroom that testify, and they'll be like, they tell the guy's friend, no, I was a survivor of this. Here are the consequences of this. You know, so you create that conversation, you change their mind, and they go back to their families. And then we even had a boy that once we went to the school, found the number of the foundation, called us and said that his parents were trying to mutilate his younger sister, that we needed to help. So we were able to get the authorities involved. So that's how you change the mentality. It's not easy. It's very difficult, because again, it's a way, FGM is just a way for the patriarchy to control women. It's simple as that. So it's very difficult. It's not impossible. You just have to keep at it. And a very good example that I would give is when I went to Rwanda to make a documentary about waste management. And I saw the Minister of Environment back in the day, and I was like, Mr. Burita, Kigali is the cleanest city in Africa. How is that possible? And he was very humble. He's like, yeah, you say that, but you know, we have been communicating and raising awareness about cleanliness for the past 22 years. And we will not stop, because as soon as you stop, the bad habits will come back. And that's the thing. It's a process. It's an ongoing process. We have to keep on continuing to raise awareness, because as soon as you stop, it goes back to the shadows. So the bad practices comes back up. So you have to keep on pushing. You have to keep the conversation going. We have to talk about it until they're sick of hearing it, and they will stop it.
All right, thank you so much. And it's nice talking to you. I'm sure next time I come to Guinea, I'll meet you definitely.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining. So now Hope, you have a question. We're going to give the floor to Hope. Hello? Hope, are you with us? Because your hand is raised. I don't know if it's by accident.
Yes. Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Yeah, it's a nice program, and I'm enjoying every bit of it. I just wanted to help you out. You know, one of the things that we're having problem with is realizing that an indoctrinated culture and belief, you know, does not happen, the change does not come overnight. So what we have to do is to be patient, consistent. Fortunately, I'm a teacher. I mean, I've been in classroom, I've taught children for 35 years. So I know the process of learning things and unlearning things. So one of the things I want to suggest here, because I hear some of the questions, is because the problem we have is some of the, defined process of measurement and evaluation of activities by NGOs and so on cannot work on a cultural change. You can measure when you give somebody money to do business. You can measure some of those external things, but you can't measure a change of orientation that has been passed into a generation for hundreds of years to come. The only thing we have to do is to continue from the bottom and take it one at a time. Consistency. Just like the same way we go to the classroom and teach children for them to learn the alphabet and then learn the mixture of words. That is the same way we have to go back using media and art now. And it's very important to begin to go back to our communities, using the languages they understand, their indigenous languages, using every form of art and entertainment to bring these ills out and to bring the message so that gradually they'll begin to sink in, to wipe out what has been put inside there. That's what I would just want to contribute. Thank you.
Okay, and on that wonderful note, I am going and again, I'm just going to remind everyone in the chat, there are really some amazing things happening. So I really hope that all of you guys link up. Again, together we are stronger. So now I am going to give the floor to our closing speaker, who is none other than Aisha Ismail, founder of Save a Girl, Save a Generation. Go ahead, Aisha.
Hello. Thank you, Riaka. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay. So, first of all, thank you very much for all those people that have been working so hard to make this possible. All those who have been behind the scene and those who are here. I'm really grateful because I know when it started, when the whole idea came. So congratulations, girls, for making this a success. And thank you, Diaka, to have been there. Thank you to all the people who participated. As we have noticed, this was a really necessary conversation. It was a necessary space that not only for the networking that is going on, that is also wonderful, but the Belt of Somali Women was born, let's say, and because of trying to unite all these minds, to put them together and create that hub of information and support and networking. We believe, personally, I believe, especially after working over, I don't know how many years here in Spain, and we have worked in an organization with many different communities from different parts of Africa. Because Spain is one of the countries that the Somalis there are not so many Somalis, so it was important to meet, and that's actually when I came to learn and get a lot of information about the other communities like Guinea, Conakry, Gambia, Sierra Leone, Ghana, and all that. But as Shamsa said, each community is different. Each individual is different. Each story is different, which means they all need different approach. They all need a different way, a different understanding. And that's where the Somali Belt comes. The Somali Belt is to understand better the Somali community and to understand them better so that we can be able to support, give that, that support that we can be able to give from the diaspora. Okay. Yeah, and for instance, I'm seeing here the meeting of the youth and the elders. I think the elders, it's me and Sarah, who are maybe the oldest in the group. But somehow I'm seeing that connection where the ideas are coming together. And somebody mentioned Shamsa, I think it was Shamsa also who mentioned through play, drama, poem, art. I think there are so many ways that we can express, so many ways that we can make the message reach, so many ways we can change those and mindsets. And it's not changing from here. It is to give them the instrument or to be able to help them make use of the instrument that they already have and to get that change. Because Diaka, I think you said, me with looking like this, coming and saying, now you have to change this. Maybe will not make them change their their attitude. So how do you go there? You have to go and work with them. You have to understand the language of the people you're working with. You have to speak their language. You have to understand the culture of the people you're working with. What is the history? How do you fit in? Now, I cannot go to Guinea-Conakry and pretend I'm going to change the mentality of the communities in Guinea-Conakry. That will have to be done by the woman from Guinea, or the man from Guinea. And I cannot pretend to go and do change the mentality in Sierra Leone. That will have to be done by that woman from the Fula community. So that's where the idea comes from. The idea comes from the Belt of Somali Women. I think we can reach where we go. We can work from inside the Somali community as being one of the Somalis that the communities that has a high prevalence in FGM. And I just want to also add that the meaning of the belt, I think Najma had shown that in that image so well. The belt means strength, it is true, but it also means support. It means sisterhood. It means I'm ready for war. It means I can hold on my pain and show a face. It means we can be united. It means all that coming together. So we can make this a hub of unity, the sisterhood, where we can exchange information with other communities, but we can also give that space, that voice, and to the 200 million women who are survivors of FGM. FGM has been like a taboo in our community. The people who talk about it, like a few of us who talk about it, we are considered to be like, wow, how shameful for this woman. As old as she is, she cannot stop talking about these private parts, because our parts, the women parts, are supposed to be private. They are not supposed to be seen. So our pain is supposed to be private. We are not supposed to show our pain. We are supposed to tolerate everything and hide and keep a very good smile and a beautiful face. So I think it's time that we forgot about all that. It's time that we decided to show and not be ashamed of our pain. We talk about it and we refuse to for other girls to go through it. So thank you very much for all the people who participated. And the Belt of Somali Women is open for any person who wants to join the platform, because the more we are, the merrier, and the more ideas we can have to where we are leading this to, and how we can create this project together. I think I think I have nothing else to add. I'm very grateful to be here, and congratulations to everybody who organized this.
Well, thank you so much, Aisha, for those closing words. And I think we have shed the light on the critical role that the diaspora communities can play in ending FGM. We have discussed various ways in which the diaspora can contribute by raising awareness, advocating for policy change, supporting local organizations, challenging harmful cultural practices, and providing support to survivor. And it's also clear that ending FGM requires a concentrated effort from all stakeholders, including government, civil society, international organizations, and the diaspora. We must work together to promote human rights, gender equality, and women empowerment. We must also recognize and respect the cultural diversity of communities affected by FGM, while challenging harmful practices that violates the rights of girls and women everywhere. I hope that this discussion has inspired all of us to take action in our own communities and to join the global movement to end FGM. By working together, I believe that we can create a world where every girl and woman is able to live free from violence and discrimination, and where the human rights are respected and protected. Thank you so much. It's been my privilege and my honor to moderate this panel, and to those amazing, amazing, amazing women, whether it be the speakers or even you guys that joined in. We've been at it for at least for the past almost 3 hours. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for sharing. And again, let's get together and end FGM. I'm Diaka Kamara. That's it for today. Thank you very much. And thank you to the Belt of Somali Women for the trust in me. Thank you so much. It's been a very humbling experience. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Diaka. Also a big thank you to you for all your expertise and professionalism and all the hard work and effort you've been doing in and within your community and worldwide. We are truly, as a newly founded organization, and also on behalf of Save a Girl, Save a Generation and Federation of Somali Association Netherlands, Hayat also, if she can show her camera. We are truly humbled and honored to have you on this important conversation and for you to be our moderator. Thank you so much. Yeah. Not sure if Hayat is still there. She's very busy taking notes. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Yes, shall close the meeting.
Yes. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend all.
Thank you. Mm.